Vanakkam. Today we are going to see a very interesting topic that is called Peer Review Guidelines 2022, which is going to gain very good importance among the charter accountant in near future. Already the importance has already started. We are going to analyze the importance of Peer Review Guidelines 2022, and this is going to be my first presentation of Peer Review Guidelines 2022. It has got various chapters. We will see step by step. Let me start with the Peer Review Guidelines 2022 highlights. That is introduction part we are going to see. One is this peer review board of ICA. It was established in the year 2002 with the objective of enhancing the quality of assurance services given by the members, and all the members have to adhere to various technical, professional, and ethical standards. And now the SEBI has already started to give importance for peer review with the effect from 1/4/2020, 2010, 1/4/2010. It is mandatory by SEBI that only peer review forms, only the peer review forms which are subject to peer review certificate or holding the peer review certificate, they are eligible to get the SEBI statutory audit reports. They have to submit the audit reports. That is, all the listed companies' certificates, reports have to be submitted only by the firm which is holding peer review certificate. Now, C&AG also started to allot the audit of public sector units only to the peer review firms. So that means the peer review firms have gained importance through the peer review guidelines of 2022. And previously, the terms of reference, roles, responsibilities were defined in the statement on peer review previously. That means previously it is called as peer review statement. Now, after the introduction of peer review guidelines 2022, it has to be called as statement of, that statement has to be called as guidelines. That is statement word they have removed and they put it as guidelines. So guideline retain most of the existing provisions of statement with the incorporation of certain other matters which were not in the statement. So previously statement was a word used. Now it has been replaced as guideline, and all the rules of statement it is there, but with some additional points they have covered and they are given in the guidelines. The guideline is divided into 7 chapters, and the guidelines also have prescribed 10 forms, which is inclusive of application for form for peer review. Here we are going to see a very important area, that is peer practicing unit. PU means practicing unit is classified into 2 parts, 2 category, L1 and L2. L1 and L2 are classified based on the type of assurance services rendered by the practicing unit. All this classification we will see in the later coverage. The validity of the peer review certificate is for 3 years. That is, from the date of issue, the certificate is valid. That is, peer review certificate is valid only for a period of 3 years, and which is subject to board decision. That is, board may increase the validity, board may reduce the validity of the peer review certificate. So this is a very important point. But anyhow, if there is no mention, it is only a 3 years based on which you can hold peer review certificate. This amended Chartered Accountant Act of 2022 has authorized the council to issue guidelines to regulate the profession. So the powers to issue peer review guidelines has been given by the Chartered Accountant Act of 2022. That is amended Chartered Accountant Act of 2022. Now we will go chapter wise. So this is then only we will be in a position to understand each and every provisions of peer review guidelines 2022. So here Chartered Accountant Act of 2022 gives power to the council. Council means CA insured. The council under section 15 subsection 2 class FA to issue and prescribe guidelines for the peer review. And guidelines is hereafter it is called as peer review guidelines 2022. And this peer review guidelines 2022 comes into effect from 1/10/2022. So you have to remember that all our peer review hereafter has to be conducted only as per the peer review guidelines 22, and that too with effect from 1/10/2022. We are going to discuss about the section 2, that is all the definitions of peer review guidelines of 2022. Here, act, that means it's a Chartered Accountant Act of 1949. And this is a very, very important thing that you have to remember. What is an assurance engagement? So peer review is subject to the verification of assurance engagement carried out by the practicing unit. It has been defined as the framework for assurance engagements issued by the ICA, and as may be amended from time to time, means an engagement in which a practitioner expresses a conclusion. That is, it is applicable only for the practicing chartered accountant and designed to enhance the degree of confidence of the intended users other than the responsible party about the outcome of the evaluation or measurement of a subject matter against the criteria, but it does not include management consultancy engagements, representation before various authorities, engagements to prepare tax returns or advising clients in the taxation matters, engagements for the compilation of financial statements, engagements solely to assist the client in preparing the complainer, collecting information other than the financial statements, testifying as an expert witness, providing expert opinion on points of the principle such as accounting standards or the applicability of certain laws on the basis of facts provided by the client, engagement for due diligence and any other services rendered or function performed by the practitioner not prescribed by the council to be assurance engagement. So the council has got the power to include, has got the power to exclude the assurance engagement. Here, the phrase assurance services is used in the guidelines interchangeably with reference to audit services, attestation function, and audit function. Audit function. So this is a very, very important definition. You please go through it because in entire peer review guidelines 2022, they are meaning assurance engagement. Assurance engagement means this is an assurance engagement, but you have to see the assurance engagement does not include 1 to 9 as stated in this page. Next one is board member. See, normally guidelines say that board member means the person appointed by the council. Here, the council of the ICA, council of the institute as a member of the board. So, ICA has to appoint, has to fix a person, and if he has been appointed as a member of the board, then he is called as board member. Next one is branch office. Wherever they are using in the guidelines 2022, peer review guidelines 2022, they are meaning the branch office means in relation to practicing unit, any establishment described as such by the practicing unit. So head office is that head office of practicing chartered accountant may have different branches. That branches of practicing unit is called as branch office. So branch peer reviewer. So head office peer reviewer is different. Branch peer reviewer is different. So branch peer reviewer means a reviewer appointed to conduct the peer review of the branch of your practicing unit. So each and every branch of the peer review unit, practicing unit is also has to be conducted or subject to peer review. So it means a reviewer appointed to conduct the peer review of the branch of the practicing unit. The qualification and other obligations and duties of the branch peer reviewer shall be the same as that of the reviewer. So next point, next section is section 6, chairman. In this guideline, if they use the word chairman, so chairman means a person appointed as chairman of the board by the council of the institute, and includes a person who for the time being is discharging the functions and duties of the chairman. It is a clear indication that chairman can be changed. It is not going to be the permanent chairman. All this chairman post has to be appointed by the board of the council of the ICA. And committee, if they use the word committee, committee means a committee of the council as defined under section 17 of the CA Act of 1949. including any board. So if they are using the word committee, that means it has to be covered and defined, and it has to be followed as per the section 17 of the Charter of Accounts Act 1949. Next word, they are using the word council. So council means it's a council of the ICA as defined in chapter 3 of the Charter of Accounts Act 1949. And normally it is central council. Normally it is a central council members, and this council has to be approved by the ICA. So council is the council of the ICA, which has been defined under section 3, under chapter 3 of the Charter of Accountant, is called as the council. And forms and records, they are using that word also. Forms and records shall mean forms and records of the board. Here board means the ICA ICA council, which has appointed, who selected a board of members. They are called as board under the guidelines maintained on electronic form on computers or such other device. So that means everything should be in the electronic form. And if the board, if the council wants, or if the board wants, they can also be prescribed in the other devices also. So forms and records should be in the electronic form that has been mentioned, that has been given the computers. Next one is insured. Insured means it's an ICA which has been constituted under Chartered Accountant Act of 1949. So here, next one is member. Member is a member in practice. So that means a peer review is not required for a member who is not in practice. So a member who is in practice within the meaning of section 2 of section of 2, that is section 2 subsection 2 of Chartered Accountant Act of 1949 defines a member in practice. So here for the peer review guideline 2022, the member means in fact member in practice within the meaning of section 2 subsection 2 of the Chartered Accountant Act of 1949. And new unit, this is a very interesting section. That is, practicing unit may be, it may be a new one. It may be less than 12 months and more than 12 months. And some unit has got no engagement at all, and some unit has exceeded more than 12 months, but no audit assurance services. So here, new unit, wherever they mention new unit means a firm whose date of establishment is less than 12 months, immediately preceding the date of receipt of the application of peer review. Here they are mentioning the date of receipt of application of peer review. That means these new firms also can apply for the peer review from the date, if it is less than 12 months, or which may or may not have rendered any assurance services during the said period, or the practice unit in existence for a period exceeding 12 months, but not rendering any assurance services. So it's a very interesting definition. There are two things, less than 12 months and above 12 months. Whether you engage the, for less than 12 months, whether you are doing any assurance service or not, on your own, you can apply for the peer review. And if it is exceeds 12 months, but they have not entered any assurance service, they can also apply for the peer review voluntarily. And peer review board, it's a means a board constituted by the council in terms of the guidelines from time to time. The expression peer review hereafter it is called as board. So entire board, that is board means it's a peer review board as per the peer review guidelines 2022. Next one is a very important decision we are subject to peer review. What does it mean? So it means an examination review of the system and procedure to determine whether the same have been put in place by the practicing unit for ensuring the quality of assurance services. So that is very important, to ensure the quality of assurance services as engaged by technical, professional, and ethical standards as applicable, including audit quality maturity model, wherever applicable, or any other regulatory requirements as may be prescribed by the council or any committee, and whether the same were consistently applied during the period under review. So here, peer review definition, you must know, it has to be applied by the practicing unit. That is, all the assurance should be of quality service, and it has to be as per the technical, professional, and ethical standards. Thereby, the audit quality are also increased. So this is also covered by audit quality maturity model. Peer review period. What is the peer review period? Means 3 financial years preceding the year in which the practicing unit is selected, or such other period or any period as may be prescribed by the peer review board for conducting a peer review in specified case, in specific case. Suppose if your firm has been selected for the year 2023, so the peer review has to be conducted for 22, 21, and 20. That is 3 financial year. Three financial year is called as peer review period. This is very, very important. In case if the board feels it may reduce the period or it may increase the period. This is the power of the board to conduct the peer review, and that too to conduct if any specific case. Suppose if they want to do the peer review for 1 month also, they can do it. So it's the power of the board. So peer review board normally, as per the act, it is 3 financial years preceding the year in which the practicing unit is selected for peer review. And peer review board secretary. So every board has to be managed by a secretary. Has to be managed by the secretary. It means peer review board secretary or any additional or joint or deputy or assistant secretary appointed by the council or any person acting as secretary. So the secretary can also be appointed directly, or additional joint deputy secretary, assistant secretary can also act as secretary of peer review board as secretary under the direction of the council as defined in regulation 215 of Chartered Accountant Regulation Act of 1988. Practice unit means, now we are coming to the practice unit. Practice unit is only subject to audit. Here means a firm of chartered accountant, or a member in practice. Member in practice, practicing whether in individual name or trade name or such other entity as recognized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India from time to time. So a firm or individual, whether individual he may be doing the practice in individual name, he may be doing the practice in proprietorship firm name or any other entity as approved by or as recognized by ICA can be termed as a practice unit. So it's a firm of chartered accountant who are subject to a member in practice. They are subject to peer review. And now some places they mention as you have to apply in prescribed form. Prescribed form means it's a form prescribed under these guidelines. That is, there are 10 number of forms that is prescribed in the guidelines. Next is reviewer. Who is called as a reviewer? Reviewer means a member. Here they are saying as member. If you go to the definition of member, it is member means a member in practice within the meaning of section 2, subsection 2 of Chartered Accountant Act of 1949. So here member, they have to do the peer review. So a member who is a member of chartered accountant. So other than the CA member, nobody is allowed to do the peer review by the ICA. So it means a member duly approved and impaneled by the board. Board means peer review board on fulfilling the qualification prescribed for a reviewer. What are the qualifications that you will decide later? But now you have to clear the peer review examination, and then only you will get the peer review certificate. So that is a basic qualification prescribed for a reviewer as per guideline 26 of these guidelines. So means a member. So a member has to be member is subject to peer review, and that peer review work has to be conducted by another member of Chartered Accountant. I mean ICA. So regulation means the Chartered Accountant Regulation Act of 1988 means a regulation included therein. And a qualified assistant, this is a very, very important thing. Qualified assistant means the member who is an associate of the reviewer, either his partner or as a paid assistant, as per the records of the ICA. So a paid assistant means a paid assistant should be in the record of the ICA. So that means paid assistant means He is a chartered accountant, paid chartered accountant, or his partner, maybe the reviewer. So he is called as qualified assistant. That means your paid assistant of unqualified person is not eligible. Suppose if you appoint an income graduate as your assistant, so he is not eligible to be covered under the definition of quality assistant. Section means Section of Chartered Accountants Act of 1949. Next is very important thing is technical and professional and ethical standards. So this is being given importance by the ICA. So here accounting standards issued by ICA that are applicable for the entities other than the Companies Act of 2013. Next is accounting standards prescribed under section 133 of the Companies Act by the central government based on the recommendation of the ICA. Here also the ICA role comes into the picture. The accounting standards have to be prescribed, have to be recommended by ICA, and this has to be implemented in the Companies Act in consultation with and after the examination of the recommendation made by the NEFRA. Indian accounting standards, that is point number 2 is international accounting standards or accounting standards as prescribed by Companies Act. Here they are, once again, they are saying that Indian accounting standards prescribed under 133 of Companies Act of by the central government based on the recommendation of ICA and in consultation with and after examination of the recommendation made by the NEFRA. Standards. What are the standards? So standards issued by ICA, which includes engagement and quality control standards, statements, guidance notes, standard on internal audit, guidelines, notifications, directions, announcements, pronouncements, professional standards issued from time to time by the council or its committee. So it's a very important point that you have to be a master in this definition of technical, professional, ethical standards. So they are giving importance for the accounting standards directly, international accounting standards, as well as the accounting standards prescribed under the Companies Act of 133, which have to be approved, which have to be implemented only after the recommendation, after consulting and after the getting the recommendation from the NEFRA. And framework for the preparation of and presentation of financial statements professed to the standards on quality control, auditing review, assurance, and related services framework of assurance engagements, provisions of the relevant statutes or rules and regulations which are applicable in the context of specific engagement. Suppose if you have been appointed under the Banking Regulation Act, you have to follow that Regulation Act. So what are the statutes, under which statute you have been appointed to do the engagement? That act you have to do it correctly and being reviewed, including instructions, guidelines, notifications, directions issued by regulatory bodies as covered in the scope of assurance engagements and any other technical, professional, ethical standards and other standards issued by any authority governing the profession of the chartered accountants. So that means the standards can also be, additional standards can also be included in the peer review guidelines of 2022. It's a very important definition that you have to go through it. We will deal in depth in other parts of the presentation. And UNIN, you know it is UNIN. So it's a 18-digit system generated having the unique number. Next one is it is available for every full-time practicing chartered accountant. And all those documents wherein you are fixed UDIN or you are taken UDIN, all are subject to the peer review. So that means you have to maintain the UDIN register. Next one is UDIN Directorate, means UDIN Directorate is set up by the Council of the ICA to implement and monitor the progress of UDIN and its day-to-day functioning on the real-time basis. And Vice Chairman means a person appointed by the Council of the insured as Vice Chairman of the board. Here, Vice Chairman of the board means peer review board. It is not the ICA Vice Chairman. For this board also, the insured has got the power to appoint a person as Vice Chairman. And all the words and expressions which are not defined in this guideline shall have the same meaning as assigned to them under the Chartered Accountants Act of 1949. Suppose if there is no expressly, it is not defined in peer review guidelines 2022, you have to refer Chartered Accountants Act of 1949, rules and regulations framed thereunder. So with this, I am just concluding the first part of peer review guidelines 2022. I request all the members to download peer review guidelines of 2022 issued by our ICA, and I will make in the next presentation of peer review guidelines 2022 later. I wish you all the best. And we become you have got a very good opportunity as the peer reviewer, and you can also enroll your name under the peer review form, because all the peer review form are eligible to get the government audit, all audits in future, and this is effective from 1/10/2022. Thank you very much for the patient hearing of this presentation, peer review guidelines, chapter guidelines 2022. I've covered section 1 and section 2 of peer review guidelines. Thank you very much. Nandri, Vanakkam.